All right, Rodney.
Okay, I think all of y'all know who I am, but if anybody doesn't, I'm Rodney Garner. I'm the master beekeeper and your wild shiny judge. Okay, let's get a little bit of history on the Varroa. Back in the early 50s, Varroa jumped from Apis cerana, which is the Asian honeybee, to Apis mellifera, which is our honeybees. And they actually traveled west, most of them right along the Trans-Siberian Railroad, because they were putting out beehives all along the railroad, and that's how they traveled into Eastern Europe, and eventually ended up over here. The Varroa mite is actually home around northern China, southern Russia, in that region. Okay, and in 1987, Varroa was detected in Wisconsin. And over the next eight or 9 years, they were in 49 states because they got into the migratory beekeeping stock. And before we really knew we had a problem, we had them all over the country. By 1995, most feral bees were gone because the Varroa had killed them. That was your wild honeybees. So hopefully with us getting basically bee stocks that are Varroa resistant and all, hopefully some of these swarms we don't get are repopulating those hollow trees and stuff like that. And we'll start seeing wild bees again. Okay, the first treatments showed up in about 2005. There was a couple of products out there. There was one called Apistan. The active ingredient was fluvalinate, and Checkmate, which used a ingredient called Kumafloss. And you don't want either of those in your hives. They contaminate the wax. And we're still, even though those treatments quit working by about 2010, bees had become immune to it. I mean, the mites had become immune to it, and it wasn't working anymore. But yet people continued to use it, and they overused it. And like I said, the mites became immune to it, and even though those two treatments pretty much are not used anymore, we still find it in beeswax. If you buy frames that have already been pre-waxed, there's a good possibility that wax is contaminated with one of those two chemicals, if not both. In the 99 to 2000, like I said, the mites became resistant to the two I just mentioned. The two of the organic acids that are used commonly to treat mites, which they have not become immune to, is oxalic acid and formic acid. And we'll talk a little bit about oxalic acid here in just a couple of minutes. In the 2005 to 2015, one of the things that we were seeing was colony collapse disorder, or CCD. And they were out looking for what was causing it. Turned out it was a bunch of things causing it, but the mites were a huge contributor to that. If you don't treat for your mites like that one we just checked, usually you get heavy mite load like that. That hive's dead in 2 years if you don't treat. So these people just go out and get bees and says, "Oh, I'm going all organic. I'm going treatment free and all." They're buying new bees every year. And it's too easy to test for them, as you just seen, and it's easy to treat them. In 2015, the EPA and FDA and Department of Agriculture approved oxalic acid. And that was because Obama put some pressure on them. And that's the only reason they did it. Okay, let's talk about the life cycle of a mite. Okay, the female mite will enter the cell usually on about the 4th or 5th day. just before the bees are ready to cap it over. And it will hide what brood food's in the bottom and underneath the mite. The bees will cap it over, and a few days later, it will lay an egg. That egg will be male. And in every couple of days, that mite will lay an egg, and those will be female. Those mites will hatch out and start feeding on that larva. And what will happen is while they're in that cell, they will mate with that male mite. Yes, they are very inbred, but it doesn't make any difference. We haven't found any negatives to that with the mites. Anyway, when that larva becomes a bee and emerges, it will emerge with it will emerge with the original mite plus 2 to 3 additional mites. If it happens to be a drone brood, it will emerge with 4 plus the original, because that extra 3 or 4 days it takes for that drone to mature is enough time for another mite to mature to the point that it will survive. Let's see, when those mites emerge, they will stay phoretic, and they will feed on young bees. They usually like the ones that just emerged, and they will basically go in between the yellow and black bands. That's where the wax glands are. But they'll get up in there and they will feed on the fat bodies. And they'll do that for 4 or 5 days. Then those mites will be ready to go back into another cell and start to cycle over. The original mite we had in there starts to cycle over. So you see how the population can build very rapidly. The original female mite will live through 3 or 4 of those cycles. And if there's no brood available, they'll die in about 3 or 4 days. If there's no bees for them. During the winter, they will live up to 5 to 8 months feeding on the bees as they winter over. Okay, what do the mites do to our bees? Well, first thing is it shortens their lifespan. You end up with smaller bees because the larva has been compromised by mites feeding on it. The mites also, they vector viruses, like the forward wing virus, and some of the, like the Israeli, a lot of the other viruses that we see and diseases we see in the bees are vectored by the mites. A lot of these viruses are already there in the bees, but they're dormant, and when the mite's present, they become active. So it's a paralysis virus, like the Israeli paralysis virus, and some of the other ones. There's quite a few of them there. And also, it was one of the largest contributors to colony collapse disorder. Treatments. Let's see. Apivar, which is used to active ingredient, is amatraz. And we're just now starting to see mites become immune to that because it's been overused. You need to rotate your treatments. And so you don't have the mites exposed to one chemical for an extended length of time. That's how they become immune. Hopguard, which is a hops beta acid B. I've used it with disappointing results, put it that way. It's messy to deal with. It's not really good at knocking down a high mite count. If you've got a fairly low count, it'll keep it relatively steady. But we've got other methods to handle that. Viraxan, which is oxalic acid, that's your extended release strips. That's the commercial name for it. You can go out to Randy Oliver's website, which is Scientific Beekeeping, and you read through things. He gives you the formula to make your own, which basically is oxalic acid, vegetable glycerin, and what they call Swedish sponges, which are basically a very thin sponge. And you can mix that up. You'll have to heat it up to get the oxalic acid to dissolve into it. I recommend doing it outside on the camp stove. You don't want to do this in your kitchen. But you can do that, and then you soak these sponges in it, and you can lay those across the top bars. They will keep the mite count low. If you got a high mite count, it will not knock it down. So that's, you can use that. There's Apigard, which is thiamol. Thiamol is another organic acid. Apulite var, which is another thiamol-based treatment you can use. And then the next thing to do is get better bees. Get mite-resistant bees, such as Golden West or Pole Lime. There's several of them out there now. For testing, you just saw how to do the testing. It's 3 mites for 300 bees. They lowered it to 2? Okay, 2 mites for 300 bees. And you want to test, you want to treat, and you want to test again to make sure your treatment works. So that's the biggest thing on it. The mites have 8 legs, and we know another insect with 8 legs. So they're in the same family as spiders. And let's see. So basically, at this point, questions? Yes, sir.
What would you recommend as far as seasonality in terms of treating for varroa mites? I've heard 3 times a year.
I usually check them just before I put honey supers on.
Okay.
And then when I pull honey supers off, I check them again. So I started testing mine this morning. I'll finish them up tomorrow morning. And I pretty much had to start over with everything this year, between a fire last year and a pesticide kill this spring. So most of my bees now are Golden West, and so far I'm finding 1 and 2 mites per colony.
1 and 2 mites per.
What's that?
How many? 1 or 2?
1 or 2 per colony.
Wow. How about the formic acid? Do you recommend using that? I mean, is that a good one?
Okay, formic acid is very temperature sensitive.
That's what I thought.
You need to wait until it's cooler. Either do it in the spring before it gets hot, or wait until later in the year to do it. And you basically don't want your temperatures to get above about 75 degrees.
Okay.
It says you can put one patty in, and then something like 10 days later, put a second one in. Take the first one out, put the second one in. Or you can put 2 of them in and leave them in there for about 8 days, I believe is what it says. Do not put 2 of them in there, you will run the bees out of the hive.
Okay.
Ask me how I know. I thought I was going to shortcut it and just do it quick that way, but since then I've been using thiamol-based treatments and oxalic acid-based ones. Best way is to vaporize it. You do not need a $500 vaporizer. You can go and get one of the wands. It runs on 12 volts, and you can get one of those for about $35, $40. You don't need a $500 vaporizer unless you're running more than about 20 colonies. So back when I was running 50 is when I got this.
So the one that Randy Oliver makes isn't as effective as using.
No, it is basically it is good for keeping your mite count down.
Okay.
keeping it from expanding. If you've already got a low mite count, you can do that and it'll keep it low. But if you've got a high mite count, it will not knock it down.
But you can use it with the honey supers, right?
Yes, you can use oxalic acid with honey supers.
Okay.
They just approved that a couple of years ago. And if I see what I haven't had to deal with it, but some of the people I've mentored, I went over and looked. And yeah, here's their bees. They're in their honey supers. I'm seeing the form wing virus. And it's like, yeah, we're gonna do some oxalic treatments on your hives, even though honey supers are on there. You can do that. And what we did is, over about a 2-week time frame, we went in and did an oxalic treatment every 5 days. And then we went and pulled all the supers off. We did a mite test. We had the mite count down fairly low. It was like, okay, let's wait till we're out of the end of honey season and then do some serious treatments on it. But knock them down quickly. We did that just so that he didn't lose his bees. You've already seen how to use the Varroa check. And if you go buy these at the bee supply, you're going to pay about $25 to $30 for one. I sell them for 10. It's a Chinese knockoff. It leaks just like the real ones. If it doesn't leak, bring it back. I'll give you one.
Do you want to store something? I keep hearing you talk about selling some.
Okay. I'll order these items in. I do not make much money on them. My goal is, once I hit the break-even point, you'll see me at the bee club meetings like last year where it's like, okay, here's 2 of them, proceeds go to the club. I start doing things. But if I get one beekeeper do their checks and treat for their mites, I've accomplished my mission.
Do you have like a website or?
Nope. Just catch me at an event or at a meeting. I think I've got about 8 or 10 of these in the car. They usually keep those. I visit other bee clubs. And I do the same thing. Usually the first thing I do is I walk in and I give the president of the club 2 of them. Here you go, you can raffle them off and do whatever you want with them. Or I can sit there and sell them and then proceeds go to your club. And I'll do that, and then anybody else who wants one after the meeting, I'll sell them to them. But I've never charged more than $10. I don't plan to charge more than $10. Because I can get them relatively cheap. I just have to buy them in a case of 50.
If I use Viroxan to knock them down, that only works for 8 weeks. When they say to take it off,
Yeah.
what do you do after the 8 weeks? Can you put it back on to keep it down? Or?
Do a test to see how you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if the mite count's really low, just let it ride for a while. And then go in the fall, let's say October, go and do another test. And if your mite count is back up, then what you do is you do that again. Or you do like at that time, it should be getting cool enough, you can do formic acid or thiamol. Thiamol's another one that's temperature sensitive.
And once you get it down, should you put Viroxan again to keep it down?
Oh
through
yeah,
the winter?
here we go. By the way, quick strips. This is formic acid. And like I said, it is very temperature sensitive. And you don't want to put it in there when it's hot like it is right now. Like I said, it will run the bees out of it. This is this is a thiamol based one. This is AP Guard. You can get it in the.
Smell it.
What's that? Okay. Anyway, what you do with these is you just sit there and you peel the top off of it and lay it on the top of the top parts. And the fumes from it will kill the mites. And you can get this in little individual ones like this, or you can get it in a bucket. And then you get like these little cards that come with it and a syringe where you pull up ever how much you need. You squirt on the card and lay that on the top bars. And you swap that out about once a week. I'd have to go back and read the instructions of it again to get the exact time frame.
What was that again?
With these,
You can pass that around, let us smell it.
yeah, we'll pass this around right quick.
You can do
It
half.
doesn't say, but on the box it tells what the time frame is in between the treatments.
About every 2 weeks for one of those canisters. Be careful, it'll shut your queen down for about 4.
Yeah, that and the formic acid will also shut the queen down.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's why I asked.
So
Yeah, I have some of this.
I use
And this is formic?
Yes.
yeah, that's formic right there.
Okay.
You don't want to open that, or you don't want the other one. Thymol will take your breath away. Oxalic acid will do that. The formic acid, if it's fairly warm, it'll have you coughing.
Okay.
But
If you have something that's temperature sensitive, how long is it temperature sensitive? In other words, like if I had a cold spell, could I do it? And then
if you put this
Not the drug?
put one of these in, and this will stay there about 2 weeks. And if you all of a sudden you get a day where it gets up in the upper 80s or something, this stuff will fumigate the hive real well. So you want to sit there and look for over the next week or so, what is your temperature is going to be. Once it's been in there about a week, it's not as bad. These, they will, if it gets hot, these will sit there and run the bees out over a 2-week time frame. But like I said, read the instructions. What's printed on the package is the law.
The CZ, the temperature is 75 degrees. That's the outside temperature, but don't the bees keep it close to 90 in there?
Yeah,
So-
but the bees will sit there and circulate air through the hive.
So if it's too hot outside,
It's too hot outside, the temperature inside is going to go up.
Could be too much.
And it's not unusual to find temperatures inside the hive above 100 degrees. When it gets like 95, 100 degrees out here, it'll be about 5 degrees warmer in the hive. Back when I used to sit there and monitor temperature of hives, that's why I'd see spikes like that. And that's when you bees have to have water because they evaporate that water and help cool the hive. And that's when you see the bees up on the front, bearding on the front of the hive when it gets really hot. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, sir.
I'm gonna try to get